Well, morning guys. So, cheese meisters, shall I say. So as promised, I put together a recipe for cheese naan bread. Cheese naan bread, come on, think about it. So we've got the naan bread and then we have the vintage cheddar cheese on the inside of it, and it's just sublime. We had it the other day, didn't we, with a vegetable curry, and it was gorgeous. So we're going to make it two ways. We're going to make it the easy way with yeast, just with your fast acting yeast, and we're also going to make it the funky way with a lovely, look at that, sourdough starter, and I can talk about that all later. So let's start, okay? Let's just make it as quick as quick can be. Right, so I'm going to do some weighing. This is the yeast one first. I'm going to weigh 10 grams of yeast. There we go. 11, not a problem. 250 mils of warm water, just warm to your fingers, okay? Because it's really nice and gentle with the yeast. In goes the yeast, and then in goes a teaspoon from our beautiful sugar bowl. A teaspoon of sugar. And we'll give that a mix. And that, over the next, hopefully, 5-10 minutes, is going to froth up and be the beginning of our lovely naan bread. Right, over to the other one. So I have a bowl here, and this bowl I've put into the oven, and it's just nice and warm, because we're dealing with sourdough here, so we just want to be nice and gentle with it. That's all you've got to do. It's not complicated. 250 mils, the same, of warm water. And then I'm going to take, just start with 0 on here. I'm going to take about 100 grams. Let's just get back to 0 again. Thank you. 100 grams, which will be about, look at that, 111. But I'm going to lose some in the bowl, and I empty it into this lovely, nice, warmish bowl, and warmish water. And I'm just going to be, look at that, it's lovely and sticky. And all it is, guys, is flour and water. Flour, water and thyme. People say sourdough is really difficult. It's flour, water and thyme. Even kids in the first class, when they're 5 years old at primary school, can mix flour, water and thyme. Alright? So we just get our fingers. Oh, it's lovely. It's just nice and warm. Everything's warm. Right, and I'm just going to introduce this lovely sourdough starter to the water. And that, guys, for the beginning of these gorgeous cheese naans, is it. And we is back. Alright? Right, cheese meisters, we've got a bit of frothing going on down here. So this is the fast acting yeast, the sugar and water. Lovely, smells lovely as well above it. Okay, we still have the warm water here with the sourdough. Now I'm going to mix 400 grams of strong bread flour in each. So this one's going to be done in the KitchenAid, the one with the yeast. Yeah, and then this one's going to be done by hand. 400 grams strong bread flour. And into both we're going to go a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to go a teaspoon of salt. And this one is going to take the teaspoon of sugar. I didn't put any sugar in the first mix. I thought I'd put it in a little bit later. So it still gets the sugar, but just at a different time. Right. So the next thing we do, over to the KitchenAid, start mixing, okay? Put some light on the job, there we go. Now I've got some yoghurt here, and I'm going to add 2 of these. Naan bread needs just a smidge of yoghurt. Okay, and now we'll just let that mix, and we're looking for this now after about 5 minutes to be a supple, soft, nicely soft, but also not sticky. So you might need to add like a tablespoon of flour, or maybe a little bit of water, just to bring it to that. This is going to need it, and I'm going to do this by hand. So back in a sec. So just a quick one here. I'm doing this now by hand. So this is the sourdough. So you can see all the ingredients have mixed. I have the yogurt in there. All right. So it's all mixed. Now this is called the auto lease. When you're making sourdough, it's the auto lease. Sounds complicated. It means you just leave it for half an hour. And really, that's just so the flour gets in all the water and everything just starts to amalgamate. That's it. So guys, I'm doing the sourdough here. The KitchenAid's made a lovely soft dough, but this one, it depends how wet the yogurt is. Okay, I'm using a wet sourdough, I'm using water, so this one's just a little wetter, and you've just got to, as you're kneading it, I'm doing this by hand, and I can feel that it's nice there, and then maybe about 4, 5, it's just, you see what I mean? It's sticking to the heel of my hand, so it just needs a bit more flour, and you might end up getting through maybe 4, 5 tablespoons. So it's just that you're looking for smooth, yeah, smooth, and it is feeling rather smooth now, but also not sticky. Yeah, and I think we are getting to that point. You see? Lovely, I'm just turning it over on itself, and it's looking about as smooth can be. There you go. So, literally guys, we have 2 doughs here. Very, very similar. Obviously, they're going to be around the same size. This is the KitchenAid one. Now, it's come out, and I've just had to put a little bit of flour on the top, and it's just, listen, it's just a little bit tacky, okay? Exactly where I want it to be, and look how smooth it is. So here's the sourdough one I did by hand, and look, you can see the sheen on it. It's just a little bit tacky, all right? So I did have to add a few more tablespoons to that. This is where we are. So I'm sticking with the bowl sourdough. In fact, I'm going to put some olive oil in. Either. So get the dough, just give it a light oiling, and this allows it to rise without sticking. Yeah? And then we'll do exactly the same in here. Just lay it in the bottom. And I'm going to leave these now for a couple of hours. We have a lovely bathroom here with a nice heated tile floor, and it's perfect for bread rising. So that's where it's going. See you in a minute. Let's try a little insert, okay? We've got the doughs are in the bathroom, okay? They're doing their stuff. They look great. Sourdough's going to take a few hours. The other one's going to take about an hour. Okay, so let's talk sourdough. It's a very complicated subject if you go to the wrong website. But, as I said earlier, flour, water, spoon, bowl, scales. All we do is mix the flour and water and use time. That's all we do. It's 3 ingredients, okay? So, at the beginning, you've got to make your starter at the beginning. It's got to start somewhere before the science starts working. So, you need a bowl, and you need to zero your scales. The scales nowadays are just so ace, it's great. Zero. And I'm going to put in 100 grams of bread flour. Now you can use bread flour. This one's my bread flour, sourdough, but this one is my plain flour, sourdough. So there's 30, 66, 97, 100 grams. Right, and then we go back to zero again. Got warm water here, just warm to the fingers, tepid water, and we're going with 100 grams. Grams, not millilitres, of water. And we have 102 there. I'll just put a little bit more flour in to cover that. Spoon, and we give it a thorough mix. Same amount of flour to the same amount of water. And this is day one. So now we move to day two. And day two is exactly the same, but with 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water. Day three, 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water. Day four, 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water. So we're getting quite a few grammage here. You'll notice that there'll be lovely bubbles on the top, like this. Flour and water, guys. It's creating air. This is how they used to make bread thousands of years ago. Alright? You'll notice it's a little like that. And then we split the culture, because it's a culture now, in 5 days. And we pour half of it away. Just goes away in the bin, not down into the sink, I would say. In the bin. So you just have 60 to 100 grams left. And then you will always add 60, 70 grams of flour, 60, 70 grams of flour, of water every day. And each day you do it, you just empty half away. And you'll find, well, this one I did earlier, and the elastic band is around the container, showing where it came to, okay? And that's how much it's risen in 2.5 hours, okay? I'm hoping it's gonna go nearly up to the top, and then it's usable for breads, crumpets, naan breads, you name it. So, flour, water, time.